Welcome to the Word in Focus with Pastor-Teacher Stephen Dickerson. Here's Pastor Stephen with today's teaching.
That from Romans chapter 8, verse 1 through 3, and I'll read just some excerpts here. Therefore, based on what he said in chapter 7, therefore there is now no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set me free from the law of sin. For what the law could not do, the law of Moses, God did, sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, or because of sin, condemned sin in the flesh. Now, let's stop there. God condemned the principle of sin. The consequences of sin were placed upon Christ. Isaiah 53, he was crushed. He was bruised, he was crushed, one translation says, one version says, for our iniquity. By his stripes we are healed. In the context, 1 Peter 2:24, the context clearly is focusing on the spiritual healing. It can be extrapolated out to include physical healing, but the context is we're healed spiritually. So God took the wrath, the consequences of Adam's sin in the garden, and placed that upon Christ. Christ suffered the consequences for Adam's disobedience. Remember, in the garden, God said, the day you eat of that tree, you shall surely die. Well, they ate of the tree, male and female, Adam, male and female. They ate of the tree. Their eyes were opened. They knew they were naked. And the consequences of their eyes being opened was death. They became self-aware. And that's something we do need to realize, is that the death they experienced was self-awareness. And they covered themselves, they hid themselves in the bushes. The first church of the vine, the first church of the bushes, the first church of the trees, they hid themselves from the presence of God. They attempted to anyway. God knew what they had done. And so they were naked. They knew they were naked, and they attempted to hide themselves, which is their attempt at self-righteousness. Now, thousands of years later, God, the consequence of Adam's disobedience was put upon the Son of God. He who knew no sin was made sin. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. He who knew no sin was made sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God, which is in Christ Jesus. I believe it's 2 Corinthians chapter 5. So the consequences of the first Adam's disobedience were placed upon the second Adam, the last Adam. He's called both in 2 Corinthians 15. The second Adam, contrasting against the first Adam, and the last Adam, in that there will not be another Adam to follow. So God placed the consequences of the first Adam's sin upon the second Adam, Jesus, his son, Yeshua. He placed the consequences of that, and he crushed him, he bruised him, that our justification through faith becomes available to us by faith, and the righteousness which is in Christ by faith is imputed to us by faith.
Thank you for joining us on The Word in Focus. You can visit us at thewordinfocus.com for further information. Please consider becoming a partner, helping with the expansion on The Word in Focus. And blessings to you all in Christ.